But enough of talking about how we support this show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
On the day that we met on the internet, I asked her for a photograph. She sent it over to me, said, I know it's ugly. And I said, girl, ugly ain't the half, look at you. Well, you got blue teeth and you only got 2 teeth, but I kinda like to see you smile. And it appears that over the years you've turned into a big old steaming pile. And she said, yeah, I know I ain't no supermodel. I said, you ain't a hand model, baby, but that's fine, 'cause you're pretty ugly by most people's standards, but you're alright by mine.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Justin Robert Young program. My name is Justin Robert Young. Well, it ain't just a clever name. We got so much to talk to you about today. How is everybody? Huh? How is everybody doing? What's going on in everybody's life? Can you answer me that? Oh man, tell you what, I had a hell of a weekend. I went down to Los Angeles to do the LA Podcasting Festival. Tom Merritt was out of the country in London, but had already booked Daily Tech News Show for the LA Podcasting Festival. So he booked himself an all-star panel, including me, to go down there and do the show. And so we did. And I got to say, man, I kind of overtaxed myself. I kind of maybe was a little bit too ambitious with what I was going to do, because initially the idea was I would go down, do the panel, right, and then day trip it. Fly right back up to San Francisco, get back home. That was the initial idea. And that was going to be a little bit of a push, because this back right now on the road to recovery, but still in a little bit of a tender place. It takes a little bit to get warmed up there in the morning, and it is not the favorite. Flying is not its favorite pastime. It gets a little tender when I'm on the flight. So I knew it was going to be a push. There was going to be a real trek. And then I decided, like an idiot, because I'm stupid. I mean, if you're not familiar with the show, understand that I'm very, very, very dumb. It is amazing that I have ever been assumed. A lot of you get a lot of very nice emails and stuff like that. People are like, "Oh yeah, you're a smart guy." I'm like, "Thanks, Mom," but also I'm a real dummy. I'm a big fat dummy head who makes dummy moves. I make dummy moves. Here's the one that I made last Friday. Blade Runner 2049 was coming out. So I saw that it was getting good reviews. So I decided that I was going to go see it with Andrew Maine. One of my best friends of all time. Someone who I've seen a shit ton of movies with. Probably the person that I talk about movies and storytelling the most. Oh, this is going to be great. I could go ahead and check out a movie with one of my best friends, man, and it's going to be great. Now, something that you may or may not know about Andrew Maine, and I'm talking about best-selling author Andrew Maine, author of the brand new best-selling novel, The Naturalist, which has been on the Amazon bestseller charts for 5-6 weeks now. he is a picky movie goer. And specifically, since the advent of assigned seatings and stuff like that, he really likes very specific movies. He has walked out of movies when things are not to his liking. So I'm on the phone with him, and I'm like, hey, listen, man, let's go see this movie. He's like, cool. I'm like, you go ahead and book the tickets, because I know that you're going to be the one who's going to have more reservations about stuff than I will. So he books the tickets. And, man, this theater's great. It's an AMC theater out there in Burbank that's got a awesome sound system, insane sound system. Just rattle your butthole from the inside out sound system. It's got reclining chairs. Oh, man, awesome. And then comes the hook. The movie's going to start at 11 o'clock at night. Now, something else that you got to know about this here back. It takes a little bit to warm up in the morning, and boy, does it get tired early at night. Starts to get a little tight, like a tiger. So a few things started to work against me. Number one, the fact that I woke up at 4:45 in the morning that morning to get down to LA. Number two, that my back would not take kindly to the kind of relaxed positions that you get from a fully relaxed chair. That's not a situation that it was not ergonomically sound. My back was not in the mood for that. And number two, that the Blade Runner movie, Blade Runner 2049, which, by the way, spoiler alert, is amazing, lasts roughly 6 hours. I'm almost positive it's a 6-hour movie. The Bio Cow hits me up in the chat room right now. I'm up at 4 o'clock every day. Do you also start watching a 3-hour movie at 11 o'clock every night? I'm assuming that that's also true if you're buying me. Don't buy me, bro. Like, I'm not saying that waking up at 4 o'clock is unremarkable. I'm saying that waking up at 4 o'clock and then watching a 3-hour movie at 11 o'clock is, it's a test. Sometimes when you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and then you're in a darkened theater for roughly 6 hours, sometimes it's, not an optimal situation when you're watching the movie and you also really like it, which I did. I almost tapped out. I'll let you know. I was like about 30 minutes in, and I was like, you want to know what? I might just have to tap out. I might just have to get homie's keys and get on back to where he lived, go to sleep, and then wake up. That was the other thing, is that at the end of all this, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I went to sleep on his couch. Also not great for the back. So, pushed it a little too much on Friday, and that kind of threw off a little bit of the weekend. But I survived. I did everything, and for that, I was very, very proud of myself. I didn't tap out. I did everything that I would normally do, and I would consider that a full step further on my road to recovery. Very happy about that. Also, things have been getting better. Here's something else that's happening this weekend that I'm very, very excited about. I am getting pictures taken. Yes, I am getting professional photography done of your boy, me. It's a business expense. I'm gonna be doing new art for all the podcasts, right? And I'm gonna have just good art for the Twitch page, for Twitter, for everything. It's gonna be great. I'm just gonna have I'm gonna have good, nice, recent photos that are meant to just kind of make me look good. I'm excited, and maybe I'll take a few bonus Patreon shots. I'll send you guys all the whole roll. That'll be good. Yeah, that'll be a nice little perk. That'll be fun. Send you guys all the raw stuff. I'm sure that'll immediately make it to the Diamond Club Discord, where FanMade will have a fun time about it. Cited in our Twitch chat says, also those will cover the maid salary for a week. All right, come on, Jesus, that's something that has not let up over the last week. Oh, this maid stuff. It's just, come on. I used the wrong. I have house cleaners. I don't know why I turned into Seinfeld. I have some house cleaners. It's fine. The rates are very reasonable. Oh, jeez. All right. I'm just getting killed. I don't think I've had a professional photograph taken of myself since I was in school. This is going to be great. We're going on a little photo walk, and hopefully we'll be able to get a bunch of stuff. So this will be fun. I'm very excited, and you guys will hopefully see the results of all that sooner rather than later. Enough about me, though. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the big news stories of the week.
Oh, you didn't know?
Here we go. This is probably the biggest story that's happened over the past few days. Harvey Weinstein. Now, I'm a film fan. I am a bit of a cinemaphile. And I keep an eye on the film industry. To be honest, my entire adolescence was dominated by sexual predators, apparently. Sexual predators rule everything around me. Gotta get the Supreme dollar bill, y'all. Because here was an average childhood or adolescent afternoon, right? Finish up my my day at South Plantation High School. Make my way back to where my family's house was in Davie. And go ahead and log on the family computer. Log into AIM. Continue to talk with all of my friends. Go ahead on over to ain'titcoolnews.com and read about the most happening film distribution company of them all, Miramax Pictures. Home to some of my favorite directors, Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino, and Robert Rodriguez. So 2 out of the 3 things that dominated almost every single afternoon of my adolescence inappropriately touched people, if not further, if not out and out raped them, and the others dying in like 6 weeks. My entire adolescence is falling apart. It was built on a house of lies, and now it is all dissolving before my very eyes. Instant Messenger, for those of you who are not aware, is going away. You can make an argument that Instant Messenger is the most influential technological project or a product of its time. It foresaw that chat was something that everybody wanted to do. Its away messages were, by the very description of the birth of Twitter, basically what Twitter is what happens if you separated away messages from the chat client. Ain't a Cool News, meanwhile, was run by Harry Knowles, who has, over the past few weeks, been unmasked as a bit of a sexual predator. And, of course, this week we had a couple stories come out from both the New York Times and the New Yorker talking about how Harvey Weinstein was a bit of a rapist, bit of a sexual predator. And I only use a funny voice to stop from crying. I mean, this is a horrifying story. It's a horrifying story. There's no way, no two ways about it. But here's the worst part. Well, I don't know the worst part. Everybody can pick their own worst part. I'm going to pick the saddest part. I'm going to pick the saddest part. Here's the saddest part to me. That now you get all these people, actors, actresses, politicians, people that were close to Harvey Weinstein, still might be close to Harvey Weinstein for all we know, that are coming out and saying, oh my God, oh, Harvey Weinstein was a sexual predator? Oh my God! Oh! How could anyone have known? Oh my Lord! How could anybody have known that Harvey Weinstein was a sexual predator? I don't know. How? Oh my Lord! Woo! Clutch your pearls, because God knows what Harvey Weinstein was clutching. Probably a little bit more than pearls. Here's how I know that everybody knew exactly what Harvey Weinstein was doing. All right? Everybody knew. Everybody knew what he was up to. Here's when I knew, rather. I, an adolescent living in South Florida. Here's how I knew that Harvey Weinstein was a sexual predator. Or at least was somebody for whom leveraged his power to have sex with women that he desired. There's a little show that I very much enjoyed called Action. Does anybody else remember Action? This is Action. It was a show that aired from 1999 to 2000. It was, in a lot of ways, it was a progenitor to Entourage, in the idea that it would kind of do these thinly veiled, basically it was like all these stories in Hollywood that nobody could really talk about, but you could do it if it was a satire, right? I liked it a lot. It centered around Jay Moore playing the role of a producer named Peter Dragon, and Buddy Hackett played his limo driver, and Ileana Douglas was a hooker that he hires that he realizes is an amazing film executive and winds up bringing her on to be part of Dragon Productions, right? And so it only went one season. It was initially, I think, developed for HBO, and then it wound up going to Fox. But what I want you guys to pay attention to is the final episode of Action. The episode of Action that was the last one ever. The last ride of the Elephant Princess. Now, spoilers for Action, a show that came out 17 years ago. But the main season-long thread of action was that Peter Dragon, this producer, is now desperate for a hit. And so he finds this script for Beverly Hills Gun Club and loves it. And so this is the movie that he is going to stake his claim on. This is his big comeback movie, right? And so he tries to find the right director, and that, goes through ups and downs. Finally, they get a director. And then in the last episode, the season finale, turns out to be the series finale, it is revealed that the script was optioned a year before under a different title to a powerful brother production company, the Rothstein brothers. All right? The Rothstein brothers. They are both fat and bearded, and they have a resume that looks not dissimilar to the Weinstein brothers, who were also very, very, very successful at the time in the late 90s. Now, the big decision that has to be made at the end of this episode and season is that Wendy, played by Ileana Douglas, who has transitioned from being a hooker to a movie executive, is singled out by the Rothstein brothers that she needs to have sex with both of them. And also, I think there's something about when she was a younger actress, she played the Elephant Princess or something like that, some old kid show. So that's why the last episode is called The Last Ride of the Elephant Princess. And Peter Dragon and Wendy need to make this decision on whether or not she is going to effectively be a hooker again. Because it's only through that will the Rothstein brothers allow this script to be made into a movie. That they will renounce their rights to the option and allow Peter Dragon to make this movie. Now, I highly recommend you watch the series. Looks like it's on Amazon Video, so go ahead and check it out. I very much like it. But here's my point. It was at that point that I thought, in the context of everything else that they did on that show, that there was probably a high likelihood that Harvey and Bob Weinstein had leveraged their position in Hollywood for sex. Now, that was 17 years ago, goddamn near 2 decades ago. You can certainly say that times were different to a certain extent. But there was this idea, at the bare minimum, that, that dude probably works out the casting couch, even if you're going to put a little sheen on it, right? Now, being a fan of the movie industry, you kind of read these things like blind items about, that young ingenues fuck Harvey Weinstein so they might be famous. So it does not surprise me that this has happened. And yet now, for one reason or another, a lot of these celebrities and politicians are like, oh my God. Oh, I would have never guessed. Not like, we all heard rumors, but I would have never imagined that it was anything other than consensual. Not that. It's, whoo, whoo, how repugnant. It also got me thinking about this. I think that we are headed into a post-secret society. Like, if you've got any shame in your life, the best thing that you can do is admit it now. Now, I might be thinking that because I have chosen to live my life where, by and large, anything that could possibly be embarrassing about my life, I say immediately. So maybe I'm trying to justify my own actions by doing this. However, I think that this might, there might be some legs to this. There might be something to this. I am going to be this is my new thing. Confess. I am the internet's confessor. And I will try to live by my own example. If there is anything that you have in your life that you do not want dragged out into the streets, man, I hope you get it out now. Before a lot of these, I mean, right now, the only thing that's separating you from somebody dumping everything that you could possibly, any secret that you could possibly have in your email, dumping it out all over your Facebook, is the desire for somebody to do it and you hoping that you are not going to fall prey to a phishing attack. And some of this might be good. But before we all go out and start cheering that yay, Harvey Weinstein's gone. And yes, yay, Harvey Weinstein has been revealed to be kind of a monster. In the same way that Roger Ailes was, in the same way that Bill Cosby was, in the same way that so many men have. However, what happens when this gets down to a retail level? What happens when it's just as easy by way of micropayments? Somebody can just kind of, mention into a Google form, hey, I want this person taken out. Boom. Now all of a sudden all their stuff is out there in the streets. Here's another reason why you got to be worried. Here's something that man, I understand. There's just like the good old days. Good old days are over, man. Good old days are done. It used to be in this country, you could buy a house out of college, get a good paying job for you and your 2.5 kids. Used to be you didn't need student loans to get a good education. Used to be that you could send videos of you doing cocaine to your stripper girlfriend in Las Vegas and nobody would lose their job. That's what used to happen in this country. Not anymore. Go ahead and ask old Chris Forrester, the O-line coach of the Miami Dolphins. O-line. I guess it was O-line's coach from the Miami Dolphins. If you are unaware of this story, allow me to read the CNN version of it. Miami Dolphins offensive line coach Chris Forrester has quit his position after a video was released on social media showing him snorting a white powdery substance. I wonder what that could be. Quote, I'm resigning from my position with the Miami Dolphins and accept fully my responsibility for my actions, Forrester said in a statement. I want to apologize to the organization, and my sole focus is getting help that I need to support my family and medical professionals. If you have not seen this video, it involves that man right there talking about how he's so crazy for doing coke. Well, it's implied that he's doing coke. He's snorting a powdery substance. Chopped up into 2 lines that he then reconsolidates into 3 with a rolled up $20 bill. talking about how the great times he had, baby. It's going to be a while since he can get back out to see her. And then he would like to snort that off her pussy. Huh. Wonder what else would, I don't know. Is it cool to snort baking soda off somebody's pussy? Asking for a friend. Meanwhile, he sends that to her. Chris Forrester, for the record, has a family. There's a few things in life that you shouldn't you should think twice about. Few things. One of them is if you are blowing mad rails, maybe you should think about not doing it at work. All right, there's an idea. Maybe you should not think about recording it. There's another one. Okay, think about not recording it. Maybe you should maybe you should think about not go ahead and sending it to your side piece in Vegas, right? And then maybe, just maybe, God knows what he did to make her upset. But this is what she wrote. She wrote on Facebook. Her name is Kiusha Nij. Posted the video to Facebook late Sunday night. The post that accompanied went like this. The white people mad at me like I forced blow down this man's nose and like I recorded it on the low. No, these are his habits, and he recorded himself and sent it to me professing his love. Oh, yeah, he said he loved her. I don't think she loves him back. Who knew? The Vegas stripper. Oh, yeah, she's a stripper, in case that wasn't clear by the context. Turns out the stripper you got high with wasn't in love with you. So quick to make excuses. This is back to the stripper. No, those are his habits, and he recorded himself and sent it to me professing his love. So quick to make excuses for him, but will roast a minority player over the anthem, dogfights, weed, domestic issues, etc. Y'all keep saying all lives matter. STFU. Chris Forrester was fired within 24 hours of that video being released. So immediately, here's what came into my mind. Of course he was doing coke. I mean, he's in South Florida. Got me thinking about something. There are two things that I've come to realize as I've moved to different parts of the country that are now clear to me. Depending on where you grow up, there are certain things that just happen more. And for me, in South Florida, there are two things that I found that I grew up around that are not as prevalent in other parts of the country. Here are the two. Number one, cocaine. There's just a lot more cocaine in South Florida. Cocaine's a club drug. There's a lot more clubs. South Florida's a party town that's open almost all hours of the night. Cocaine is something that people do when they are up late at night. In fact, I would say, as it has been described to me about cocaine, is if you are up very late at night and you're partying and you're having a good time, but you're getting a little tired, and the night is starting to wind down, the fastest way for the night to not end is for everybody to snort coke. Now, I ain't saying it's right. This is just things that I know. Now, how do I know this? Because I've talked to people about it. How have I talked to people about it? Because there's a lot of people around me that have done coke when I was growing up. So, if that is the case, that just means that regionally there's more of it. The other is strip clubs. But I've talked about this in the past, that South Florida strip clubs are just a thing that happens. In fact, very often, there's another thing I've heard in the cross section, which is, if you want to hook up with a stripper, show up with some cocaine. I'm sure this is something that Chris Forrester also heard, which is why he is in the position that he is in. So this is not to glorify these hobbies, but rather to understand that these are things that happen. And oftentimes they go together. Now, oftentimes they can be leading you on the road to ruination, but that's just something that happens in South Florida. So I ask you, dear listening audience of the JuRY program, everybody watching us right now live on twitch.tv/JustinRYoung. A reminder, if you want to watch us record this live, you can do so by coming on over to twitch.tv/JustinRYoung at 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and watching us live, joining the chat room. What are the things that you grew up around that, if you've moved to other places, you've now realized was uncommon? It was a regional thing. I'm sure that there's plenty. I'm sure that there's regional ways that people eat food, regional ways that people worship things. There's got to be. Well, here's what I want to know. Give me your city or region superpower. This is what I want. I want that. Waffleophagus in the chat says a complete and utter lack of black people. All of those. This is what I want. Send that in. I want to compile the list of city and region superpowers. There we go. Now, the chat room's lighting up right now. I know we've hit a rich vein already. Go ahead and email that in, justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Uh-oh. Guys, wait a minute. Looks like we have another one of these in here. Looks like we got another one of these in here. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have another new dating trend. Here we go. This one is from The Sun. The Sun writes up, submarining. Submarining is the latest trend to look out for on the dating minefield, but has it happened to you? Oh my God. Submarining. What could possibly be submarining? Could it be going off to sea? Could it be being close to a nuclear generator? Could it be being abandoned by the Russian government? What on earth could submarining be? Here we go. There's an all-new dating trend to be on the lookout for, and it's not the one that you want to happen to you. Submarining is the latest in a long line of relationship nightmares after stashing, cushioning, and love bombing. Oh, man. Tell you what, good thing I'm married. I'm so worried about all these crazy dating trends. I hope none of the single members of this listening audience are going along with this stuff. Oh my God. You'll be forgiven if you've never heard of this wacky dating trend, but it may sound all too familiar once it's been explained. Mostly because we totally made up a random word for an awful sociopathic behavior that we all understood as unacceptable, and yet we can make you read this article and be thankful that it hasn't happened to you, or can tell you what you've already known. Don't date sociopaths. That last part was editorial. Here we go. Submarining is a variant of ghosting. Oh, ooh, just in time for Halloween. When somebody you're talking to or dating suddenly cuts off all ties and communications with you. It could be going fine, and you could be messaging every day, but then they just seem to disappear off the face of the earth without warning. Well, submarining is like ghosting, but the person who ghosted you ends up cropping up weeks, months, or even years after they cut you off. Like a submarine which has been underwater for months, they'll resurface in your life without warning. You probably had no idea where they've been this whole time, but they'll crop up and slide back into your DMs regardless, replying to your last message as if nothing happened. The weird thing is that submarining will often just gloss over the absence completely. Sorry, the submariners. Like Nammer? As if their radio silence doesn't need to be explained. After months at sea, the shameless dater will just pick up exactly where you left off before they went AWOL. All of this proves they couldn't care less about you, and all the time you've been left in limbo since they feel like you aren't even owed an explanation. Yeah, you sure? Oh my God! Oh my God! Wait a minute! Hot Beverages has just made a tremendous correlation. I didn't realize all this time this is not just a dating trend, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just a dating trend. This is also a parenting trend. I was submarined. By my own father. Oh my God. For those of you who are unaware, I thought my father was dead for 13 years. And then all of a sudden he literally came back in to my life and tried to hit me up on Facebook with a very casual, yo, sup? No explanation of how he has not talked to us in 13 years. Oh my God. The latest, call the sun. Somebody call the sun. The latest trend in parenting is submarining. For those of you who are unaware, just go ahead. There's a couple episodes a few years ago of Night Attack, the show I do with Brian Brushwood, where I talk about it was happening. It was when it was happening. It was only a couple years ago. But yeah. Oh my God, I got submarined, y'all. Submarined. Nuclear submarined. The hunt for Red October. Old Charlie Young submarined me, dude. Dad, if you're listening, you submarined me. Oh, man. God, I almost want to send this to him. I don't know if he'd get it. He's in Puerto Rico. So now he might actually be dead. Did that kill the mood? I kind of feel like that killed the mood. Oh, well. I can't believe this is a tremendous discovery. All right. Let's go ahead and get to your emails. I don't know if I have time. I don't really have time for this Rick and Morty story. Basically, here's all I'm going to say about the Rick and Morty thing. There was an uncoordinated, unaffiliated release of the McDonald's Szechuan sauce that was mentioned in the most recent episode of Rick and Morty's season premiere. It was hyped up on social media, and they totally botched the rollout. They only sent like 20 packets to each McDonald's, many of which didn't get them. And so a bunch of people got really upset. And yes, the mostly male and adolescent fan base of Rick and Morty that had the disposable time and income to go out and wait in line at a McDonald's for a Szechuan sauce reacted poorly to the fact that that whole thing was botched. I don't blame them for being annoyed. I do blame anybody for harassing McDonald's employees as if they had any say in how much Szechuan sauce got to them. But it seems, I don't think it says much about the Rick and Morty fan base. Because, by the way, we're only a few weeks away from Black Friday, and you'll see, how people from all stripes react to showing up to a place and either getting or not getting or getting what they've been promised. I think that sometimes things get hot. People do dumb stuff. Or maybe it's because you just wrote 300 words on IO9 about how smart you are about what Rick and Morty really means, as opposed to all these people. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not very predictable behavior and a clash of expectations versus delivery. Maybe it's about the fact that these folks just don't get Rick and Morty. Maybe it's that. I don't know. That annoyed me. Those articles annoyed me. Any hoot. Let's move it on. Let's go ahead and get on in to your mail. You can go ahead and email us, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, I fucked that up. Justin Robert Young @gmail.com. Again, Justin Robert Young @gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. Justin Robert Young @gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. Okay. Allie writes, I was listening to JuRY today, specifically the email segment about profs banging students, when I heard something that made me a little nervous. One of the emailers was talking about the stereotypical music teacher and how a lot of them are considered creeps. Creeps? Oh no. I've been married to a music teacher for a year. He's charming, funny, and to be honest, a little flirty when interacting with others. Is he banging 17-year-olds he teaches violin? Does he flirt with seniors? Please help. Oh my God. This is one of my favorite emails of all time. All time. I loved this email so much that I went out and did a little reconnaissance on my Twitter. I went out and asked on Twitter who, in your opinion, when you were in high school, was the creepiest of the teachers. And I gave a few examples. I think basically the examples that we got when we were talking about this on the podcast last week. So ROTC teacher, music teacher, etc. Allie, I am here to tell you that by and large, not many people said music teacher. It's the new dating trend, the music teacher. Lucas Light said PE. We got PE a lot. But to be honest, it was a lot of very spread out. It was the lesson is every school seemingly has somebody that wants to bang these kids. We don't know who it is. and you won't find out until it's too late. Essentially, every high school staff is living in a zombie movie or living in a serial killer movie. Every high school staff is Murder on the Orient Express, except the person doesn't get killed. They just, they don't murder anybody. They just bang a 17-year-old. So I will say no by way of my research, Allie. Although based on the fact that you had to ask, I'm going to say go ahead and be a little bit more ever vigilant. I'm not saying go snoop through their text messages or nothing, but keep an eye out. Just kind of keep your peepers trained. Make sure that, the music man isn't making anybody smell his flute. The other emails that we got here are from something else that I love. Great emails this week. Cast members from Disney. We talked about a soccer player getting ejected from Epcot for getting too soused. They got bounced from Epcot, and they what was interesting to me as somebody who's been told to settle his shit down at Epcot for being a little bit too drunk, and also being way too drunk at Epcot and having nobody tell me shit. I know it takes a lot. Homie, it takes a lot to get 86 from the park by a Orange County sheriff. Jane writes, there are 6 levels of escalation between being a rowdy guest and getting Orange County sheriffs to escort you off property at Disney. Based on what I've heard at Epcot, by far has the highest ejection and trespass rate because of Food and Wine. It seems about once a week during Food and Wine to hear about some incident where Orange County had to get called out. Yeah, it seems like a lot, but remember that they filter 200,000 people a week through the park, and I'm surprised it's not a constant drunken conga line around the World Showcase. Number one, it is, but by and large, I think people keep their shit in their pants when they're at Epcot. God, I think I still have a scar on my leg from when I skinned my knee running through Epcot. Because I was first. Chris writes, I was watching the latest JuRY live stream, and here's what I've experienced in my time as a cast member. In the majority of cases, Disney security will handle everything themselves. Primarily, this excludes any threat of violence or actual violence for which a sheriff will be called to the scene ASAP. And that is probably what happened in this case. Is that somebody might have swung on somebody, or, it got heated yelling between, because apparently there was an incident between two people. It probably got heated to the point where they're like, all right, we got a couple lit professional athletes here that make their living on aggression. So we're going to have to call in the big guns here sooner rather than later. Chris goes on, pretty much anything else gets you escorted backstage, where they will have you trespassed and escorted off property by the sheriff. 9 times out of 10, getting trespassed means that it's a shoplifting or a fraud type situation. That's super interesting. That's what that is. That normally it's somebody trying to palm something out of a store or trying to run some credit card game. I mostly worked in merchandise and very rarely saw any serious situations, so my experience may be different than most cast members. In talking to other cast members, Epcot has the worst problem with drunks, unsurprisingly. Disney Springs and Downtown Disney has the most shoplifting and fraud issues. But above all, it's the water parks that have the most disturbing stories. Public nudity by both adults and children, mostly innocent in nature, more than you would think end up not being innocent, however, disturbing. Oh my God. New call to action, ladies and germs. Give me your awful, horrifying theme park stories. I need them. Did you work in a theme park? JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. JuRY in the subject line. Have you seen something awful in a theme park? Justin Robert Young, JuRY in the subject line. I need any and everything. You know a guy who used to tell a story? Justin Robert Young with JuRY in the subject line. I need all these stories. All these stories. Bane Thor 90 says the worst people at Disney parks are the roving bands of 60 plus young females from South America doing loud ass chants and shit. Nah, there are worse people. Worse people than that. I mean, they're loud. As soon as you see that Brazilian flag, man, you know shit's about to go down. But there are worse. There are definitely worse. All right. That about wraps it up. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. A few things to go over before we wrap this bad bitch up. Number one, we got Diamond Club patches coming back into stock this week at stickersordIAF.com. It's the Diamond Club logo on a patch. We've sold out of them twice. We've halfway sold out the order that is coming in already. So God knows how long they're going to be in stock. I'm going to do another email blast about them. And we're going to see how long they last. I'm just saying, if you want them, stickersordIAF.com. I would say come in and get them now, because once I start shipping them out and start letting people know that they're back in stock, I got a feeling they're going to go super quick. Also, politics. If you are into politics, go ahead and check out my political show. It's a lot like this show, except talk about politics. If you hate politics, this is the show you got to listen to. Politics.com is where you can go listen to episodes. Find it on iTunes. One more new show. New show alert. Me and Scott Johnson are doing a brand new show called Unfriend Me. It's all about dissecting the arguments you have on Facebook that lose you friendships and ruin familial bonds. We've talked about healthcare, gun control, kneeling for the anthem. I think it's very unique. I would love for you guys to give it a shot. Go ahead and check it out. Search for Unfriend Me wherever you find podcasts. Also, if you dig this show, go ahead and hit up iTunes. Leave us a review. 5 stars, please. It really, really helps the show, and we're really trying to make this entire operation just bigger and better for everybody. That's why I'm going to get pro photography. It's why I've got my new business consigliere, Tamar, who's making all this happen, by the way. She tells me things that I know I need to do, including things like you should be plugging the stuff that makes the podcast go. So leave us a review if you haven't already on iTunes. Man, it is so important. You have no idea how important it is to this show. Reminder, Twitter and Instagram is at justinryoung.com. You can hashtag join the conversation at, I'll tell you what, I didn't even check the Reddit. So let's do diamondclub.reddit.com for now, but we will have the JuRY Reddit next week. That about wraps it up. We are done. It's over, Brother Nero. Till next week, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you guys,
What do you say we both just leave?
the stripper doesn't really love you.
Why is there more here left to see?
I want to know your city's superpower.
I don't understand, is it me?
I want to know what nasty shit happens at theme parks.
Am I that difficult to read?
And I want to know which teacher is the creepiest. Folks, That about wraps it up for this episode. But if you are in a sticky situation, this is your old pal, Justin Robert Young, reminding you to please don't.
Do you like the way y'all dressed up? Do you like how your hair gets cut? Do you like when your friends fuck up?
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.